Hello, LinkedIn land, and welcome to another episode of Freeformers Unplugged with myself. And once again, Emily is here. No special guests because Emily is top tier special. So I am trying to dig myself out of a hole saying Emily isn't special and making a spectacular mess of it.
And you've done that for 2 weeks in a row.
Have I really?
Which is the most incredible thing. Yeah, you absolutely have.
Eesh, that's
I think
awkward.
it's a broken record.
Okay. Well, we're both off next Wednesday because it is the start of the school holidays. So there will be no live stream next week unless... No, there just won't be. I'm not bringing my daughter onto the internet for clickbait. As cute as she is, I refuse to do that as a parent. Anyway, parenting morality aside, well, I was going to ask how your week's been, but we've seen each other this week, like IRL.
Yeah. We went on a very long drive, navigated the M25, no less, went to very sunny East Sussex to a beautiful vineyard, which we didn't see very much of, and came home again.
I think I've done more research of that vineyard since I've left it than we're actually there. But hopefully we will spend a bit more time there this time.
As we're going down again tonight.
Yes, we're going. It's near Hastings, one of our brand new clients here at Freeformers, doing some incredible work in the sustainability consulting space, which to their own admission was not a huge market about 5 or 6 years ago, and now is pretty big. So it's awesome to do some work with those individuals, and of course there'll be a case study online about what we're doing with them in a vineyard and burning stuff, which we did as well on Monday, which was pretty cool. Got the health and safety police to sign that one off somehow. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about how we have spent the past couple of weeks in zoos and vineyards. We're here to talk about plot twists and plot holes, designing change as a human story. Why? Well, I suppose this is actually kind of tangentially related to the vineyard work, right? Because that team that we're working with are going through quite a big change. Quite big change. Not, and it's not driven by AI. It's driven by kind of the ownership of the organization and leadership and all this kind of stuff. And so we've been reflecting and designing on how you intentionally design programs and things that help people through change. And we, as part of our creative idea smashing, came up with two concepts. We didn't come up with the concepts, but
bold claims there.
We refer to two concepts. Those who've listened and engaged with myself and Emily a lot before will know of Todorov's narrative theory. Yeah, we're going to talk about Todorov. And then the grief cycle, or the 5 stages of grief as well. And probably a bit of other stuff. Which one would you like to start with, Emily?
Todorov, obviously.
Todorov. So, well, I'm going to test you because you said you had a test with me, so I'm going to test you. What are the 5 narrative stages, or what are the 5 stages of the narrative arc with Todorov?
I mean, the official words, can I remember them? Don't know. Equilibrium, everything is hunky-dory, everybody's just living the life, everything's great. And then along comes, I assume it's disruption, but something comes along, big bad, it's all gone to pot. Then there is the one whose name escapes me. What's the name of it?
Recognition.
They realize that there's a problem, and then they have to try and fix said problem, usually after having run away in step 2, apparently. And 4 is the resolution, like they're trying to resolve it. Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
Anyway, but basically, the fight, the big scene where good versus evil, and then number 5, new equilibrium, and everybody lives happily ever after again. If it's a film, and if it's real life, things just go on in this new state, and definitely not happily ever after.
And as I always joke about, if it's a Christopher Nolan film, that new equilibrium will probably happen about 25 minutes in. because unless it's the Dark Knight trilogy, his narrative arcs they're not arcs; they are squiggly lines that zip backwards and forwards and upside down and in black and white and in color and all sorts of different ways. So, Todorov's narrative theory. Now, we talked about this on Monday with our client, right? That let's focus on the beginning and end state. So the equilibrium, the new equilibrium, right? So with any disruption, and let's tangentially link this to work, right? Is that disruption is going to change your world, but we all live in this hopefully this equilibrium where we're kind of happy and everything's cool, but disruption will change that. But we always kind of want what we had before. We want that equilibrium back. And this is Todorov's narrative theories, right? Is actually the reason the main protagonist of a film goes out on a journey of repair, of resolution, is to try and restore the equilibrium at the beginning. But invariably, what happens is you then design a new equilibrium where it's not the same as it was before, but it is actually this state of equilibrium where everything is fine and good and all cool. But at the beginning of the film, you wouldn't know that new world existed. There wasn't a question there.
No, there wasn't a question there. No, absolutely. But I think it's something that we hold on to a lot as people. I mean, I think of my time at the ODI. Everything was not everything was great. There were a little friction points, but generally things were really, really good. Everyone felt respected. The culture was awesome of an organisation. I've never worked anywhere like that since, even here, Toby. Like, no offense. Well, there was like 50 people. It's quite hard to.
I'm terrible to work with. I know
quite
that.
hard to replicate 50 people into 2. There was a really, really good culture, and then there was funding issues, and they went through a round of redundancies, and but they got all the junior people out, as is so often the way. The first time anyway. The second time they cut a bit deeper into senior team. Yes, spoilers. There's a round 2. But actually, what happened was that trust got massively eroded. The culture got completely broken, and there was this massive disruption, and everybody was in that. I mean, and this is why we talk about grief as well, which we'll come on to. Everybody was in that grief cycle, that grief, like, we want what we had, and it was never going to get that way ever again. There's no restoring that trust in exactly the same way. Loads of the key players have left. If we're talking films, they tend to die off or what have you. Not in real life, I'm very pleased to say. But it's very human, and we also see it in like the newspapers and everything, right? And like people online who are like, oh, we want to go back to the good old days of the 1950s. Well, number one, rose tinted glasses, and only if you fit a certain demographic. But number two, you can never go back to that, because so much has changed that it's just not possible. But we as humans don't want to accept that.
Yeah, humans are idiots, aren't we? So I think well, just for our dear listeners and viewers, ODI stands for what?
Oh, Open Data Institute is where I basically made myself. I don't know. It's where I am. It's the first proper job I had that was longer than like temp jobs or internships or placements here and there. I was there for 3 years, and it very much shaped who I am.
Well, I think that's the other thing is that it is informed where a lot of the work you do at Freeformers and a lot of the kind of the experiences you had there shape and help us design what we're doing, which is really cool in this new equilibrium, which I don't think either of us would have ever tried to have drafted at the beginning of this narrative arc of us, working together at former Freeformers. The thing that I was thinking about while you're talking has just completely escaped my mind. So there you go. There's.
Well, in the absence of that, I've got a quiz.
I've remembered what it is before we go to the quiz. Like we've got people viewing and no one's interacting in chat. So if you're watching, hello everyone. Because we're talking about film, because we're talking about narrative theory, we're not going to ask you what's the best change program you've been part of in a large organization. Want to know what your favorite film is? Put your favorite film in chat. We'd love to know what it is. Emily, what's your favorite film?
Oh no, I don't have a favorite film.
Okay, tell me a good film that you like.
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
Well, I'll go first then. If
you go first. You go first.
So,
while I panic.
My favorite film is Baby Driver, directed by Edgar Wright. Hence, this poster here is all of Edgar Wright's films in a montage. Apart from he's just done The Running Man, so that is not the poster because it wasn't released at the time of the poster. But Baby Driver is one of my favorite films. I like cars, I like music, I like action, and those three things are there. It used to be Back to the Future. And it's, at its core, that gives me such a lovely feeling when I watch it. Especially 1 and 3, 2 I'm not a massive fan of. But yeah, have I buffered enough now for you to come up with at least one film?
I really like Mulan, the original cartoon, not so much the live action remake,
where Donny Osmond plays a Chinese person.
I really like it. I like the music. I like the story. I also really like Inside Out. Big fan of Encanto. Can you tell I like kids films? Basically, I think what it is I don't really have the brain space to watch a proper grown-up film. That's the problem. I can't keep concentrating for more than 90 minutes.
Talking of proper grown-up films, Michael Beckley, Canada, oh Canada. Michael Beckley lives in the UK, but he's Canadian, so I just have to give Canada a plug. Lovely part of the world. Great syrup. Pulp Fiction.
It's a good film. It's a good film. I prefer Reservoir Dogs, as I think is my favorite Tarantino film.
Oh, that is a tough one. I think I agree with you. And you know what? I tend to agree with most of what Beckley says. Michael Beckley says. Michael is his name. But I think I think Reservoir Dogs is an absolute, just like, there's so many iconic moments in it. Ears getting chopped off, people walking down the street,
and the singing, and that guy died, didn't he? Madsen. I can't remember his first name. He died this week.
Did he? What?
Week. Yeah.
Don't bring that to me. Really?
Did he? Yeah. What's his name? What's his first name?
His first
Michael
name,
Madsen.
Michael Madsen, no?
Yeah, I think it was. I just wasn't sure.
Oh. Okay, well, I was going to dedicate this live stream to. No one cares. I'm not doing that. We're not that big in the game. Robert Ashcroft. Oh, Robert Ashcroft of many, many incredible things. If you're not following Robert, please do so. Robert says "Stand by Me," and I don't know what that is.
Well, surely that's where the Benny King song comes from, right?
I reckon the Benny King song came first. Rob, I can say Robert. Why am I saying his name?
Because you're reading.
Because I'm reading it. It's like, I've never called him Robert in my life. Stand by Me. What came first, the film or the song? Also, what is the film? Okay, Stand by Me. The song came out in 1962. I'm just checking that he's not come up in chat yet to tell us what's happening. Stand by Me. The film came out in 1986.
That's what it is after.
And it's 4 very young chaps hovering above a mountain.
I think you should admire my resolve of not bursting into song for Stand By Me, because that is a great song and it's right in my range, which not many songs are.
It's right in, wow, what a brag. Stand By Me is right in my range.
Well,
go on then. I mean, you can't.
Because I don't know how it's going to go on. I'll sing for you in that off stream first.
Oh, it's got famous people. It's got River Phoenix, Joaquin's brother, Will Wheaton, who was in Big Bang Theory, and Corey Feldman, who's in The Goonies, right? And then some other. Oh, Kiefer Sutherland's in it. God, I love Kiefer Sutherland. Sorry, that we've gone down a whole different thing. But I think if we look at Pulp Fiction and Stand By Me and Baby Driver, Back to the Future, and the film that Inside Out, Mulan, and Encanto, that's why coffee's for grown-ups. They all follow this similar narrative arc, right? So you had a
quiz. Yeah, I did some preparation for this. Okay, I've got 5. This might be a bit long. 5 or 4? I can't count. 4. Okay, so I've got boy lives, plays with friend, very happy. Equilibrium. Boy's dad dies. Boy runs away as villain tells him it's all his fault. You might be getting it. Boy grows up, but realizes he has to return to fix what's happened while he's been away. The boy, now a man, tries to fix things, overthrowing the villain. Man becomes what he was destined to be. And everyone lives happily.
It's The Lion King.
It's The Lion King.
Throwing me off by saying man. It's
if I said lion cub, it was somewhat give it away.
Yeah. Okay. son and father, I think, yeah, you were intentionally leading me down a rabbit hole.
And you still got it.
Siobhan has come in to chat. New player enters. Sound of Music. I'm going to Salzburg on the tour with the girls in October. Very nice. Is that where it's set? I'm guessing.
Well, the Sound of Music is very much follows this, doesn't it? As in, she's in the nunnery. That's the equilibrium, and then she gets sent away to the Von Trapp family. That's the disruption. What's the third one?
Recognition.
That's the recognition. I should want to say reconciliation. Recognition, that she has to make the best of it and like get on the side of the kids. She starts fixing things, making them clothes, singing them songs, doing puppet shows, and then they kind of have a new equilibrium, and then they get a massive disruption when the Nazis come in at the end. And then I guess they have a new equilibrium where they are just singing as they're walking across the mountains.
No, Nazis are a pretty of all the disruptions you could chuck into a situation. Pretty big disruption going on there. Never watched Sound of Music all the way through.
Well, I think you've just upset Siobhan.
Sorry. All I know, I've seen the scene where they cut the brakes in the car or something. The nuns do that. The nuns go.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten that bit.
And obviously the big song. No, the two songs. Goodbye, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, and the one where she's on top of the mountain singing.
The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music.
Oh, and it's got that Do Re Mi La La song. Dough, a loaf of bread. Dough, yes, dough a deer makes more sense. What's the loaf of bread? Jam, something to go on bread. Anyway, let's do the quiz. If anybody is still watching or listening, let's carry on with the quiz.
Girl hides who she is from the world. She accidentally reveals herself and runs away.
Hang on. The competitor in me feels like there should be some sort of scoring mechanic that if I get it on the first one, it's 5 points. The second one, 4 points.
If you like, I feel I should open it up to everybody else, but you two, I need to win.
Siobhan is going to make me watch Sound of Music, by the way.
Good.
I don't know how she's going to achieve that, but like, unless you're evolving HR Cozy One tomorrow, and you can somehow hijack my laptop to put it on the screen. Ain't happening, Siobhan, whether you like it or not. Sorry. So, girl hides from the world.
Hides who she is from the world. Then she accidentally reveals herself. Catastrophe ensues. She runs away.
Oh, Frozen.
Well done.
I got that in two.
In two. Okay. Might be a bit harder, this one. Girl lives in a quiet village but dreams of more. Her father is taken prisoner, but she offers to take his place. Yeah, good. Okay, nice.
I think I could have got that in one if you just slowed down a bit.
I will slow down. Girl lives with her family but feels she is different.
Matilda.
No.
But that's Matilda. She lives with her family but feels she's different. Absolutely.
Everything starts falling apart. Girl tries to fix it, uncovering hidden truths about her family.
This is Encanto.
This is Encanto.
I just talked about it.
I literally did put cracks begin to appear, and then I was like, and everything's falling apart. Literally. Then I thought that was a bit too much, too obvious. I was like, you know what?
Siobhan is at Evolving HR tomorrow, as am I. Rob, Michael, feel free to come along if you want. There's a distinct lack of male energy in the room. I think there's 5 of us when there's actually 50 people there. So we are looking to actively recruit some males to come along. So if you're in London, sunny London town, do come along. So we've had a bit of fun there. We've had a bit of chat. How does this play into, change inside organizations, right?
I think there's an element of recognizing that change is uncomfortable. I suppose it keeps things interesting, certainly in the way of film and storytelling. It keeps things interesting, but at the same time, it's uncomfortable, and we recognize that in what we see on the screen, what we read in books and in stories. And that recognizing, the quicker you can get to recognizing and working within the new boundaries, the quicker things are going to go through for you, and the more effective you're going to be, and the faster you're going to reach a new equilibrium. I think the thing that we always say when it comes to workshops is, this isn't the end. Unfortunately, life doesn't follow a beautiful 5-stage story arc. Sections of your life do, and then you have to move on to the next story arc, the next disruption, shall we say. And some of them are going to be massive, like, I don't know, climate change, AI, and some of them are going to be really quite small, details in the grand scheme of things. Like you got a new manager, or a new employee in your team, and it's something that you got to work through.
And I think that's it, right? Is that there is this element that you're not going to get away from it. You have to work through it to get to the new equilibrium. And those resistant to change are actively trying to go back to the past, right? To the former equilibrium, which isn't particularly helpful because, as you said, you can't get back there. It's virtually impossible to get that once that disruption's happened. Virtually impossible to go back there in most situations, right? So the acceptance and appreciation to move forward and be an active part of designing the new equilibrium is incredibly important. But I think the thing that I've seen go wrong time and time again is that it is left to a couple of things to get people to get from A to B. Number one is an internal comms campaign, which amounts to posters and emails primarily, which is like not many films have disrupted people's world with emails and posters and help them resolve it. And then the other one is training, right? But actually, if we think about redesigning the new equilibrium, I think the challenge here is that there are generally two schools of thought. One, the organization knows what the new equilibrium is and tries to force people to it. Or the organization has no idea what the new equilibrium is and needs to bring people along that journey to co-design it to make it happen. I
Do you
imagine
think they should know what the new equilibrium is? Do you think? No, I don't think you should either. Like, I don't think like if you're a leader and say you've done a merger or you've made half your people redundant or whatever, you've done some
you said so you said sorry, I thought you said
merger,
murder.
that would be slightly different. I think Pete did too because he's laughing in the background. Normally he keeps out of these.
What a way to cause disruption and organizational change. Do a murder.
No, a merger or
Or
acquisition.
do a merger. Okay.
Um, Yeah, but you don't know exactly what this new equilibrium is going to look like, and you can't really dictate it to people. Like everybody has to go through that journey of Todorov's narrative theory, go through that journey to be able to, co-design it together. Because I think if it's something that gets put on you from above, like said, right, this is now how it will be. Number one, they can't design for every single scenario, because that's just impossible, and especially in large organizations, but even in small ones. Um, and number two, like no one's going to buy into it. It's not going to be seen as a new resolution. It's still part of the disruption.
But most try to define. I think let's jump on the let's jump on the AI wagon for a second. Is that no one really knows what that looks like in an organization or what it looks like in the world of work because it's not happened before. The only reason you would know the new equilibrium if you've kind of gone through that path before, right? If you're doing the sequel or the third film in a trilogy, you already know what the narrative is, so you can play into that. But very rarely is that the case. But I genuinely think in most transformation programs I've seen, there are two parties at play: the audience, the employees, who kind of go, tell us, you are the leaders of the organization, tell us what this new state is going to be that we need to get to. And then there are leaders that go in and go, well, this is how it's going to be, and this is what it's going to be like, and this is where I want everyone to be on board. And therefore they expect like an email campaign or a training program to kind of go, okay, if we do all this, then everyone will be on board and everyone will be accepting of this change. Both of those don't really work. And so I think the world that you described there is would be a lot more successful. I don't see it used a lot,
Mm-mm.
would be a lot more successful, but it's kind of scary for an organization. It's like, well, we don't know what it is. And it's like, just accept that you don't know what it is. Like, is that such a bad thing?
There are times when you need to know what you're doing, I think, and people need so there are times like our politicians. If our politicians put their hands up, and say, we don't know what we're doing, you're like, well, why the heck are you in government then? Why do people vote for you? Like, you need to have a plan. You need to know what you're doing. And I think there's an element of that in business too. But I think you need to set the parameters and the structure and allow people to then go on their own journey. Something you said that was very interesting there was you said that all the employees are the audience. I don't think they're the audience. I think employees are the protagonists of their own story, of the change that they're going through. Like, they are the characters.
Well, in each in each person's life, you are the protagonist. I am the main protagonist in my film called Toby. I was going to say King Kong, but I'm not. No, my film will be called King Kong. I've been called that enough times now to know that that's the thing that people remember from before than my actual name. But like, we are each our own protagonists, and therefore, no one wants this. Well, the disruption will happen. Like, as a protagonist, the disruption has happened. There's nothing you can do with that, whether it's an illness, whether it's a child, whether it's a redundancy, whatever moment in life, you'll always have those. The moment of recognition, another person can help you with that recognition, or you've got to go on that journey and recognize it yourself. That path to resolution, to a new equilibrium, again, you can be helped along that, but no one, you kind of have to do it yourself. You have to go on that journey yourself, and you might go through with a group of people. You know, in films we get Goonies, I mentioned earlier, right? They go on this journey
Avengers.
together. Avengers is another one. The amount we've talked about Disney, both with our client on Monday and on this, we are going to start having to pay royalties for name dropping Disney property. But yeah, this collective, but also the thing that doesn't work is that when you try and do it as a collective, as a whole organization, and think that everybody is going to have the same path to resolution and create this new equilibrium, that doesn't work. Just quite bluntly, that it doesn't work, never will, unless your organization's 2 people big. And even then, we still have that friction of like, well, how are we going to get on this? What is the resolution, right? And so it has to be, and this is where the element of personalization comes in, because it's like, well, then you're talking about creating personas and personalizing the journey. It's like, no, I'm not really. To you, what you said, right, is really the parameters, the framework to be able to design and move forward is what you need. You don't need to spoon feed content or experiences. You need to give that framework to enable different people to craft different journeys to a new equilibrium.
Definitely. You just made me think of something. My husband's going for a promotion in his role. It's not really a promotion, new job within the role, within the organization. And he got asked the same question that he did in his last interview with them, which is basically like, it's a technical role, it's a software development. How would you change this if you had no constraints? Like, so if time wasn't a problem, if money wasn't a problem, if you had unlimited resources, what would you do? And his answer both times has been, I don't want that situation. I don't want that scenario, because if I have unlimited time, money, resources, I'm just going to try and do everything. I'm going to have no focus. I'm going to have no strategy. Like, you need to put parameters in place to allow people to be creative. And designers say exactly the same thing, right? Product designers or graphic designers, any sort, they need to have boundaries to work within, even if it's as simple as, we like green and we like leaves. Right. Okay, great. You've given me something to go on. Because if you've got truly unlimited options, that's when people, and what is it? Paralysis analysis, whatever it is.
Decision paralysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another phrase for it.
Choice paralysis. Choice. Anyway.
Either choice paralysis, in that there are too many options that they can't even begin to conceive it. And that's why we need, as leaders, we need to put those boundaries in place, particularly in uncertain times, such as having gone through a disruption.
Very nice. I agree. Sorry, I just loaded our live stream to put the comments on, and then I could hear you still talking, and I was like, "Oh, you're carrying on," but you weren't. You were doing that over there. So let's move on to the next bit then. So the topic of grief. So one of the things. So we went with Todorov's narrative theory to support like kind of this event design that we've done with our client, but we also talked about the 5 stages of grief as well. I test you again because I can't remember. 5 stages of grief?
Well, they don't have to go in order, but
Great.
we generally have denial, like a refusal to accept what has happened. You have anger, you get really angry, often with denial at the same time. Bargaining, well, if I do that, then this will happen. Or particularly if people believe in a deity, it's often, oh, please God or whoever, if you make this happen, then I'll be a really good person, or what have you. Depression, just like pure misery. And then generally the final one, but you can slip out of it again, is acceptance.
And I think this this is a more of a, I suppose Todorov's narrative theory is like a very structural way of looking at it. Now we're leaning into more of the emotion. And I think the first time I used this in program design, was when I was working at Curry's PC World, or Dixon's Group as it was known then. And we just merged with Carphone Warehouse. Now, as part of those two organizations, one had this brand called Know How, which was like the things that deliver and fix things. And the other Carphone Warehouse had the Geek Squad. And I wouldn't say there was a particular love or diehard fanship of Know How, but there certainly was with Geek Squad. Geek Squad had this incredible loyalty from its group of people that worked under that brand, to the point where it was quite cool. Well, it depends if you think it was quite cool or not. But they had FBI badges essentially. They had Geek Squad like FBI badges that if any time at any place you could be called upon to do a badge check by a fellow Geek Squad member, you had to be able to show your badge. And if you didn't, they could challenge you to do something. Usually it involved press up. So it's very tech bro kind of vibes. But what they had there was this kind of institutionalized, cultural, passionate, and hugely engaged workforce. And all of a sudden, we're now going, okay, so we're going to take Know How away and we're going to take Geek Squad away and we're going to merge them together and call them Team Know How. Well, first and foremost, you have just leaned into the weaker one of the two. I mean, the reason why Geek Squad was going away because it was a licensed brand from Best Buy over in the States, which is why it was cheaper to merge them onto one. Then they called it Team Know How, right? And so
They really should have come up with a middle name, a neutral name.
And now, do you know what they call it? It's just Curry's. The shops are, all those three brands are now, the shop is Curry's, the customer service brand is Curry's, it's just all Curry's. Which they should have done years ago because it just makes a hell of a lot easier. But anyway, what I recognize in terms of the program design, that forget the Know How people for a second, not to completely disregard them, but for the Geek Squad ones, they are literally seeing something they have fallen in love with and have passionately devoted their lives to for the past 1, 2, 3, however many years. They're about to see it die. It is going away and it is never coming back. Absolute. And so that's horrific. Like when there's so much love and passion for it, there is this grieving process that these individuals are going to go through, regardless of whether Team Know How was going to be any good or not. You had to accept that these people were going to go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance in any order, right? And so to design a program as a set of emails and a one event initiative was never going to happen, because this is a process that people are going to have to go through, and you've got to kind of design the different support, the framework, and the guidance that they're going to need at any moment of that time. But the thing and this is where me and Rocket actually first met, was talking about this initial design of this program. Now, ultimately, what happened and why I left that organization is they went with this very vanilla management consultancy to deliver some roadshow workshops, like one-day workshops to all the leaders. It's like, okay.
Well, that's how you affect change, isn't it?
Well, affect change in my job
Departure.
circumstance. I was like, this is rubbish. This makes no sense. If you genuinely want to move these people in this direction, you've got to do it differently. You can't do it in this kind of, what's the playbook of management consultancy that says, how do you get people to merge? Oh, well, we'll do some workshops and we'll do some internal comms and then that'll be done. No, absolutely not. Doesn't make any sense.
Have you ever seen anything that comes out of one of those type of organization that really taps into emotion and how people are feeling?
Have I ever seen it?
I haven't. I've worked with McKinsey, EY,
with the Big Four?
PwC, PwC even. I might have worked with the other one. I can't. Oh yeah, Deloitte. Obviously, of course, I've worked with Deloitte. Yes. But I never see anything that's about emotions.
Yeah, I'd say they're all devoid of human emotion, those organizations. Not necessarily with any intent or malicious trying to remove that, but the whole structure and process and type of person they recruit, because whether they say they want a diverse workforce or not, they only set up for a very, very specific type of person to be successful. Some of them may be changing that. I don't have internal know-how on it if they're not, but having seen inside those organizations, you have to be a very typical atypical type of person to work there. but it doesn't drive emotion. Now, I don't know if Rob is actually still watching the live stream, but one of the things I remember in kind of my post-corporate career was seeing a video that made me cry. A corporate video that made me cry. And I very rarely cry anyway. But this video, video's underplay, this film was so powerful that it changed how I felt about contact centers and people working in contact centers, how they work. I got now it's embargoed, so I can't necessarily describe everything, and Rob would do a way better articulation of it as well. But the power, that's the only time I think I've really seen it where you can use the power of hey, Rob is still there. Rob, tell everyone about Mr. Renton. So that to drive that engagement and that emotion in a topic is hugely powerful, but we don't leverage it usually.
Was that one you did at Media Zoo?
Yes, I didn't.
I've
I
seen
didn't
it.
do it.
No. But was done at Media Zoo?
Yes, yeah.
I've seen it
And
when I went there. Yes.
Media Zoo, very, very good at that. And I'm sure Rob in the world he's in now with Auspicious Group are doing like even more incredible things in driving this emotive connection to drive change within an organization. You have to do it. If you ignore it and just kind of go, this is the program, this is the thing, it doesn't really make much sense. What is the hook? Now, and that wasn't even expensive either. That's the other thing. It's like it wasn't like a big flashy film. Because the thing I always say, right, is like if you look at things like all the documentaries on Netflix that drive conversation and behavior change, Seaspiracy, all those kind of things, is they are hundreds of thousands, even millions of pounds worth of production to try and get people to act and think differently as a result of a documentary, you know. But it doesn't have to be like that. This film was 2-3 minutes long. Rob will correct me if I'm wrong, but it had that power to change. And the really cool thing was that it was very useful mechanic to get people to want to work with you as well, because actually you can start going, well, if you can get people to feel this way in the organization to affect change, if you can get people who might want to work with you to feel that as well, that's even better. And so it was a tearjerker, like genuine. Like I don't think I ever saw anyone watch it who didn't like go, shit, that hits hard. And to do that in such a short amount of time is incredible. And a testament to the work Rob does, right? Is that you've got to get like that, but you've got to understand where the end user is at that moment in time in the first place, right? That you can't just drop in something that makes someone cry. That's not the objective here. The objective is to deliver something that drives a feeling towards acting and thinking differently,
whilst also acknowledges where the people are. So in that video, it was an internal about like working with audiences, right? Working with your customers, if it's the one I'm thinking of, which I think it is. But sometimes it's about how you yourself are feeling. And I think there's also just that big acknowledgement of it's okay to feel how you feel. Like it's okay to be depressed, angry, in that bargaining state, or in denial. You know, might be not healthy to stay in denial for a long time, but it's a valid feeling. And I think so many organizations don't do that. They rush. I mean, and this also came up on Monday's workshop, right? So many organizations and so many people, we're so conditioned to rushing into the, oh, everything will be all right. Like, let's fix it. Let's just jump to solution planning, blah, 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 blah. When actually, sometimes you just need to sit with how you feel now for a minute and just have someone to listen to you. And I know that was a big thing when we went through the 2 rounds of redundancies at the ODI. And I will also say 2 rounds of redundancies at the next place I went to as well. I survived all of them, by the way. The ODI ones were a year apart.
Sounds like you make it sound like apart. You make it sound like Squid Game. Like yeah. I survived all the rounds.
Well, that's how I see it. Like it is a bit like Squid Game or Hunger Games. Maybe no, not Hunger Games because you're not against each other. But I've not really seen Squid Game, so anyway.
Squid Game. Can we just? This is the same with people who call it espresso. It's not Squid Games. It's called Squid Game. I don't know what you said, but I'm just going to put it out there because it makes me really angry when people say Squid Game.
I think I said Squid Game, but
I think you did as well. But I'm just putting it out there. If anyone's watching, you come up to me and say Squid Games, I'm going to throw an espresso at you.
Talking about the important things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they tried to rush through all of it. They tried to like not sweep it under the carpet because it was there and it happened, but we needed time to have that grieving process. And credit to the ODI, they did realize that, and I can't remember if it was the first or the second one, but we had a what we called a tribe offsite, and it was tribe as in you have like your leaders and then you have your tribe. So all the leaders went out, and then someone who had a lot of social capital, my friend Amanda, we've spoken to her. She advised us on a few things in the early days. She ran this incredible emotional raw session to just be able to get that grief out there and to acknowledge that it was okay to grieve. And I think that is something that people are not comfortable with, because grief is scary. It's scary to experience, but it's even more scary to watch someone go through it in a professional context. And I will say, my friend Amanda is now a trained grief counsellor, which I've just remembered, because she's
Ah,
very good at it. Yeah.
I think, and well, it's kind of a leadership skill then of the, well, not of even of the now. It's kind of what you need to be able to really lean into that. And I think the thing you mentioned there, which kind of mirrors what Rob has just come out in the comments, is that it takes time. So the film that we mentioned, Rob says it was episode 1 of what became 4 seasons of roughly 6 films a season, shining a light on various aspects of situational vulnerability that ultimately shifted lots of things in the organization, not just probably the metric that they were trying to I think what they were trying to achieve was it would have been about like call success essentially, with that resolution and customer NPS probably. Don't know, again, Rob, sorry for butchering the metrics, but I think it took time. It wasn't this one thing that was going to change it. Definitely, like I think I said, right, it's the hook. It's the thing that gets you thinking, starting to think differently. It's not going to necessarily completely change your mindset and behavior, but it will definitely get there. And Rob goes on, huge kudos to the vulnerable customer team for being so brave to share some different heartfelt stories to drive empathy and understanding in order to empower and shift the moment in behavior and actions. And like I say, I think if what, so we had 4 seasons, 6 films, so that's 24 films, 24 3-minute films. If they all had the same impact emotionally as the first one, then you're really driving into systemic change there rather than just kind of process change, which is really cool. So time, I think, when with both of these, right, with Todorov's narrative theory or the 5 stages of grief, whatever you're delivering at what moment in time to those people, is you're not going to do it in one big inoculation, which is what most organizations try and do.
Because it fits in your budget line.
Well, and I reflected on the Present with Intent program that we run, which is a 4-week program, and someone came to us and said, "Oh, it's a 4-week program. Can I do it in one day?"
When we say it's a 4-week program, it's 2 hours a week for 4 weeks.
Yes, yeah. It's not it's not 20 days of learning how to do presentation skills, but there's the time and space there to reflect and to action. One of our potential clients, we didn't work with them in the end, came to us and said, "Can you deliver it in a day?" And I said, "Well, technically, yes. Technically, it's possible to deliver it in a day, but it will not have the same impact as if you were to do it over 4 days." And they said, "Well, can you just redesign it for a day?" And I said no, because like I just know it won't have the I know it'll have some impact, but it won't have the impact that I want on the world and for those people. The money you're paying, I just essentially stealing money from you because I'm delivering something that isn't going to have the impact that I know for the same amount of money, oddly enough, you could have the impact for. And I think we had that testimonial, right, that came from Claire and Galt Foundation yesterday. That was a 12-week program. Again, this was like 1 hour a week for 12 weeks. It wasn't, in the grand scheme of things, they were looking at a 2-day workshop. It wasn't that much different in terms of the time commitment, right? But the mindset shift that happened week on week, the actions, the things people came to those sessions with and went, "Oh, I did this over the week because of the session we had last week," and then shared it with everyone. Like, we'd have never got that thing designed. That dashboard was one of them. It was an incredible dashboard. You know how I don't really wax lyrical about dashboards that often, but it just was like, in that week we've moved forward, we've done something differently as a result. Whereas you do this one hit inoculation with a group of 10 people, and then something may change, but they might not share it. It just might get lost, and you lose all momentum. So I think it's a huge credit to Galt Foundation to accept the proposal first and foremost, because like there are many organizations there that would have said no. Can you do it in 2 days? And again, I will turn them down, because it's like, No, that's not what we are about. There's a reason we started to do what we do, is because we want to create meaningful change in people and organizations. And we've worked in too many places with too many people that are happy to suck up money just by delivering what is kind of expected. And I think this is where we're doing some other work right, in trying to articulate how one might go as an internal consultant or a group of internal consultants to change stakeholder perception to do that as well. That's the other thing, is like, you've got to do that. We can convince our clients to do that. That's quite easy. But as an internal consultant, to do that with your stakeholders, there's a couple of programs we're designing to help them do that as well. So anyway, it's a little bit about what we're doing in this space, I guess, which is not expected, but a nice tangent to go on. We're heading up to 45 minutes, which is usually the time where we try and wrap stuff up. So, because if you're listening on podcasts, we don't want to be harping on too long. If anybody in chat has got any closing thoughts, do pop them down. Let us know what you think. Or if there's any of the little threads that you'd like us to pull out for the next live stream. Again, not the one happening next week because it's school holidays and chaos is about to ensue for the next 6 weeks. But Emily, what are your closing thoughts?
I think the biggest thing is that, film, TV, they reflect reality. They are different and exaggerated, but they reflect reality. But I think it's also worth remembering that they are exaggerated, and there is unfortunately, no neat conclusion to life. It just carries on. And my other major thought, I reckon, is that it's just, people are emotions. People will always have emotions. As long as we're not all robots and just AI working, we will still continue to have emotions, and shutting them out at work is just not a way that's going to work for anybody. I mean, look at I don't really want to start a new thread. I was going to say, look at the backlash from Rachel Reeves crying in Parliament, and if you cried at work, you're human. You're allowed to bring yourself to work. You're allowed to bring your emotions to work. And I think trying to stamp that out is never going to end well for an organisation.
I agree with everything you said. I think if you just look at the mechanics that we try to use in organizations to do it, are just fundamentally not set up to do any of what you've just described. Email campaigns,
Yes.
HR policies, and training days. Those three things, if you're trying to tackle some of the stuff that we just talked about, it's not what you're going to go away and do. And that's why myself and Emily do what we do in terms of embracing human-centered design to create holistic employee experience and not pigeonhole ourselves into doing internal comms or training or L&D and all that kind of jazz, because it's kind of a broken system. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has been watching and listening today. Really appreciate you tuning in, and please do tune in again when we are live. And also to all those people who may be watching on catch up, which could be any number of 8,000 people that are now following me. Unbelievably, 8,000 people have either accepted connection requests, have started following me, have engaged with content, and I have no idea why. But thank you so.
Is your head big enough? Can you still fit through the door?
No.
Right. Okay.
That's why
are you going to start levitating off to? I don't know.
I think when we started Freeformers, I think I had 600 followers. So in 18 months, it's just kind of blown up, and I'm really appreciate everyone following us on the journey, because we're trying to create systemic change here in the world of work. That's what we're all about, and we can only do that by spreading the word of doing things differently. And hopefully, we've inspired you to do things a little bit differently too. And with that, we wish you a lovely rest of the week, a lovely rest of Wednesday, and we'll probably catch up with you in 2 weeks, I think, because I'm not going to live stream next week. You're not going to live stream, so we'll do it in a couple of weeks.